We are live. Or at least I got the symbol in. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Instagram notifications. I'm using my phone because the last 2 times I live streamed, I used my computer and I looked really washed out. So, my phone. And then plus, I'm in my son's room, so it's a little more portable. Listen, I have learned to embrace the pace, but it doesn't mean I have to pick the camera that increases the pace.
Oh no, I'm just laughing because for my own sanity's sake, because it's all dark and gloomy out, we've got the soft green lights on in the house that make you feel like you're in a forest. And so when I talk about washed out, I'm super washed out with a slight tinge of green.
Green with envy. Though I think everyone is envious of you more so. I have the wonderful Charlie Dorsett with me. Charlie, do you want to introduce yourself?
What is there to say? I am a sci-fi fantasy writer. I am a sci-fi fantasy writer, a podcaster, and I do things on the YouTubes, like a lot of live streams. Like next week is going to be all live streams on my channel. They're scheduled because I'm doing Milwordy. And I am not regretting saying that publicly.
Yes. But you're going to stay strong. Remember, we got multiple goals here. It's not just 1 million. Millions are nice, but we're not going to kill ourselves. We got to know our limits.
No, I just had a moment the other day of like, oh crap, I said publicly that I'm going to be doing 1 million words. Like it's on video. I said it to the world. There are people that are like, people know.
A lot of us have, and then I created the Excel spreadsheets, and I'm offering these spreadsheets to everyone. And if you haven't created your spreadsheet, pick on my channel. Don't worry, I only have like 10 videos up. It will be easy to find. But if you pick part 3, it is here's my spreadsheet, and here's how you tailor it to your needs. So, but the fact that I'm actually creating the spreadsheet makes me think I need to commit to this. Like if I'm telling other people here you go, I need to do it too. But either way, YouTube live streams is not the only thing you do. Continue.
Well, I do the podcast now 3 times a week because 5 was, I know people wanted me to keep doing 5, but 5 plus YouTube is crazy. And so we're moving back to 3 next week. And the web novel goes on. And that is the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my career, is putting out a book in basically in real time as I'm writing the chapters, editing the chapters, and releasing the chapters for people to read. But that's been going well. So
how much did you outline that before? Because this is the one with where Leia and Luke
No, that's the fan fiction. Yeah, that's the fan fiction I'm doing. And I have no idea where that's going because Leia's smarter than Luke, and she's not falling for anybody's. Like R2's just like, I need you to take off my restraining bolt so I can tell you the rest of the message, and she's like, nah, I see you. I got a party at Tashi Station tonight. Bye. And just like,
bye, Felicia.
I'm like, what in the world are you doing? Where is this story going? No, my book Dance the Ghost, which I've been working on for like 10 years, I realized would never see the light of day if I didn't do something drastic. And I was talking with Joan Ninja Hen about it, who has a very interesting and fun channel, and she helped me get comfortable with the idea of doing it as a web novel. So I have written this book and rewritten this book and rewritten this book so many times over the years. Like chapter 1, when it came out, that was draft 37.
Oh my goodness. Had you started dreaming in it?
Oh yeah, I have forever. Like, and it's weird because I have 9 other books out that were just easy to just, oh, I'm done with this book. Bye. Just like put out in the world. And this book, I'm just like, it's not perfect. It has to be perfect. Perfection must come. And I don't know why. But she convinced me to do it as a web novel, which is something that I've never done before. And so I'm basically doing like final rewrite and edits on chapters and pushing forward with it.
Wow.
That's terrifying.
Well, to me, it's terrifying to put your work out there at all because you've invested time and you're hoping it's good, and you don't want to like lead the beta readers or the critique partners any certain way. So you're trying to like give them the overview without saying, is my development correct? Like, is everything lined up? Did I change the hair color without meaning to, or something like that?
That's kind of where I'm at right now. I just finished a novella that takes place in the same world as kind of the origin story of one of the characters from the book. And I'm doing a read through of it right now to make sure that it's in English, because every now and then my sentences, I swear, devolve into Klingon or something. Like, like you're looking at it and you're like, I understand all of these words independently, but together they make no sense at all. Okay. But I'm very concerned about the tone of that story, because it's one of those stories that relies on a twist.
And you don't want to give it away too soon.
I'm afraid I either give it away too soon, or it's just going to shalamalama out the end, and you're just going to be like,
did you just burn?
Oh, yes.
But it makes total sense.
Yes, the shalamalama. Yeah, you don't want to have a shalamalama show up in your show, in anything that you're doing, because you never know what you're going to get. Because I'm afraid it's going to be like, really, water, really, like.
Well, it's better than a box of chocolate. Well, never mind. It's not better than a box of chocolates. Nothing better is better than a box of chocolates.
They just had coffee. This entire argument's just about coffee. Yeah. No, you don't want to do that. So
no.
I am concerned about the quality of that. And so I'm trying to get it humanly readable, so that by the time I send it out to alphas for people to tell me if the tone works and the twist works, and I can go into developmental edits. But I have already found 2 sentences that I have no idea what I meant by them. No.
Well, okay. Is it kind of like when you do shorthand? By the way, for anyone confused, I was putting my son down to sleep, and he finally fell asleep. So there's that. I got that going for me. Hold on. I gotta make sure the monitor's on. Okay, yeah, now it is. Okay, I set everything up. I got my tea, I got my water, I got my lunch. Either way, but we were talking about continue. Sorry, I interrupted.
No,
it's not. People would be confused.
I wish it was shorthand. I wish. No, it was just, there was a string of words. There were nouns, verbs, adjectives, all of the parts of speech that you would expect in a proper sentence. There was even punctuation. I don't know what any of the words were in that order for. It made absolutely no sense in any possible way. I was like, maybe I mistyped one
Charlie
word.
Was not looking out for future Charlie.
Oh no, not at all. And that's why I always say, like, my first pass before things go out to alphas is always to make sure it's written in English, because every now and then I just speak in tongues while I'm writing, just la 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 la. You know, Holy Ghost gets you, and you just don't know what you're going to type.
The thing
only the angels know what those sentences mean.
My novel, so I finished it, did my own read through where I go through with a blue pen. Because I feel like, one, red's too harsh of a color when you're got to print it. I'm a little sensitive, but a blue one's a little nice, and it still pops from the page compared to the black. So there's at least a difference in case for somehow my handwriting looks exactly like typeface. But back
whisper
to it.
Of a dream.
Yeah, if my handwriting was that good. But what ended up happening is, after I did all that, I edited my story, and I'm now sending it out to the critique partners on a website that I use. And it was so funny because there's still mistakes where it's like I totally left out an article and people are writing going, I think there's a word missing here. And I'm like, how did I miss that? I've read this like 5 times before I posted.
You go blind. You go blind to them.
Yeah.
Because you're too close to the text. And that's one of the reasons why I like using, I use Pro Writing Aid, and I am not sponsored by them, even though I talk about them a lot. And, hey, Pro Writing Aid,
if they want to
I do talk about you a lot, so you can always do that. But, I like them a lot because of the highlights that they do to remind you of little things like that. The reports that they have, like, one of my personal favorites is I do filter words really badly. And they have a senses report that will go through and highlight every time you said saw, see, speak. Like every time you've used a
Yeah.
word related to senses, it just highlights it. So you can go through and
That is
find them.
fabulous. I need that because there was
Yeah.
so many times, like just one scene, and then I swear, everyone who's in the chat, you have my love. We'll get to you. Sorry, Charlie and I, we get off on a tangent when we get talking. But the scene is that my main character is walking into the therapist's office for the first time, like shaking the hand, and she noticed and I say, like looks over the shoulder to see the degrees lined up, and she makes some smart aleck comment of like, yeah, well, somebody's proud of it. And I really should have just said, oh, the degrees were above the bay window, not she looks over so and so's shoulder and the degrees are above. And I was like, this is too much. And then also I'm an underwriter, so I'm like, any words that get deleted, I'm like, no, but I'm like, it's a better sentence now.
If I can say one positive thing about filter words, I think that there is one time when they are appropriate, and that's when you're wanting to get so far into the head of the character that you are locking into the perspective of them. That can be helpful, but you got to be careful because it does distance. Like it's good if you're trying to get into the mind of the character, but it does distance the reader from the action. So,
well, and then my MC, I'm doing first person present tense, except in dialogue. So this is really fun first project for me. But my MC is first person, and it's really funny. Someone critique partnered. And I've talked about this in my videos, or at least the video that's coming up on Tuesday as my wordy kickoff video. No, the one that comes tomorrow. The 10 mistakes I've made. First project. But the mistake I made is being first person. My MC, she talks to herself in third person sometimes in her head. She'll say stuff in second person like, you think I know that, or something like that. And I had a critique partner where we had to sever ties because every time second person came out, the person was like, why is there second person here? Cut it. Like, and then they just started saying second person as it came up, and I was like, okay, this person doesn't get my MC right now. Though I agree that I should have cut it down, so I did grab that from the critique, but at the same time, we talk to ourselves. We're a little brutal in our heads sometimes.
Yeah, one of the characters in my current whip has a psychic connection with a itty bitty dragon. Well, not itty bitty, but a small dragon-like creature. And so half of the story is narrated in third person from the narrator, the narrator's point of view. Mm-hmm. But you also have this running dialogue between them in first person, in first and second person, going on alongside it.
How are you able to keep track? Because to me, that's like saying something and then you're thinking something completely different. And it's hard to, when you do it yourself, it's fine. But when you're writing it, it's like.
Knight is a character that I created when I was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And so they have lived in my head for so long. Like, I know them better than most of my friends. I've rescued him and tried to put him in several books over the years, and I think this is the one that he's finally going to find a home in, because ain't nobody reading that first book that I ever did.
All right, I'm going to jump into the chat now since I think we paused. So we got Stephanie Whiteson. Hi. So glad you can make it. Mindy Brown. Hello. The Blind Mage. Oh, I'm so glad you could come. Not that the other two, I'm glad y'all could come. I'm just glad everyone could come, okay? I don't want anyone to think I got favoritism or anything. No, I mean, if you want to stay tuned and subscribe, I will totally favor you over.
Oh, by the way, everyone, double check your subscriptions if you think you're subscribed to this channel. Because I wasn't, and I know I was, because I go to a lot of her lives, so I had to be getting notifications from somewhere. Yeah. So make sure, because I've noticed that on a lot of channels again lately, that YouTube.
Yeah. And there is a 10K live stream. We're a little more chatty today, just because we have no wordy coming up, so we weren't going for the 10K on Sunday thing. But by all means, if you're going for 10K and you want more sprints than what we'll give you, please pop over there. I think Hudson
is the
one going right now.
I think so. I can double check.
Oh yes, please do, Charlie.
Well,
Then
while we're talking.
Oh, and then Charlie, you commented in there. Thank you. You got me covered because I can tell
try.
you. So I'm using my phone for the video, and then I'm using my computer to do the timer screen. And I actually compared the two earlier. My phone had a prettier picture, so we're gonna go with the phone for the picture, video wise. And then Brown, Sarah Keith, you have a new book out. Am I right? Please, I'm trying to think. Okay,
Monday.
Kelly, do you know how I can make someone?
You have to be on the YouTube chat itself and click them over there, or you have to be in the creator studio.
Okay, I'm jumping over to the YouTube chat now because I want, Sarah Keith, I want you to be able to put your link for your book in. By the way, anyone who has books or whatever, if you want a wrench, I will give it to you. Because I am all for everyone promoting themselves, especially as new people. You gotta look out for each other.
Yeah.
All right. Come on. Oh, so my personal laptop is on top of my work laptop, and I was using my work laptop mouse. Is it Monday? Because it feels like Monday.
It does feel like a Monday.
Okay, where do I need to go, Charlie, again?
When you're in the chat, if you highlight a comment that they say down at the very end, you'll see 3 dots. If you click that, add moderator or make moderator. One of those. It's just one of those.
Okay. Here we go. There we go. Add moderator, in case anybody watches this in the future and going, well, what was it? All right. So did that. So please, Sarah Keith, put your link to your book. And we'll go for. Oh, I'm glad that someone enjoyed our talk about the words. And I think the words are against us sometimes.
I am so excited for Sarah's book. I just have to put that out there. I've already pre-ordered mine. I've just ever since I first saw the cover of it, I was like, and heard the description, I was like, this sounds like a Judge D mystery. And I was shocked that she didn't know who Judge D was. And I was just like, that's even better because you're going to do your own thing. Yay!
I love mysteries. I know there was some writer tag where it was like, I remember the question being, I didn't do a video for it, but I remember the question being, what genre will you not write? And I'm like, maybe this. I'm like, no, why would I don't want to pigeonhole myself and not write something. I may not publish, but I don't want to pigeonhole myself on not writing. So Stephanie, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, that's a really easy question for me to answer because I can't hold myself back. Like, oh, what? I'm not supposed to tell you who did it? No, we going to talk about it this whole time. Like,
I'm just imagining. So you got your narrator in your story, and then you come in as the writer going, hold up. Wait, they went into the room that they just saw the shadow figure enter into? No. So thriller, no. And comedy, because my humor does not translate to text. I kind of like to think I'm doing a comedy, but it's a dark humor.
Yeah, I get amazed when anybody's like, I read this chapter and this line was really funny. I was like, oh, you're the one.
Ooh, Stephanie brought up a good point of she was reading back her 3 chapters while they were traveling back into the family, and she caught so many mistakes. And I know I need to read out loud, but I reading actually out loud. I don't do because I've been married to my husband almost 10 years now, but I'm still, when I'm reading, I'm going, that's not worth it for out loud. That's not going to allow me to catch. I need to actually be audible.
See, I'm a Mac person, so I don't know how to do this on Windows, but Mac products will read to you. There's a quick key.
Windows
just
will
go
too. And I
don't know what it is on. Yeah, I don't know what it is on Windows. There's nothing better than a robot reading your text to you because because they use
void of emotion.
No. The newer ones are designed to use natural language algorithms so that they guess how it should be pronounced, how it should be said, and the inflection they should have. And so it will get really awkward if it doesn't. Like the new Siri is so funny because she'll be reading, and when a word's out of place, she literally is like, goes to. Like, she's got this like almost snotty, like, I don't think that's right tone in her voice. And it's like, oh, wait,
Did you just learn
yeah,
to write
that's wrong.
yesterday, sweetie? Like, I need Siri to talk smack to me. That will probably improve my writing.
Yeah. And that has helped a lot to sit down and do that. And if you can't find any of those, I know Tamara Woods uses, what is it called? Speak to Me, I think. It's a website that will do it for free.
Free's nice.
I got
Free speaks my language. My language is frugal, free, cheap.
I know that
not in quality.
I know that if you have a Mac, it's built in. And if you are using Scrivener, they actually have a quick button that you can add to your up to your toolbar that says speak text. It's a little microphone. You just put it and drag it up there.
Because I have Scrivener. I actually got a coupon for 50% off, and I talked my husband into it. I was like, listen, you're doing all this golf. That's expensive. This is for me.
Yeah, it'll start wherever your cursor is and read from there. But having a robot read to you, if you can't read out loud, is very helpful as well.
That's nice, because I usually sit there with my headphones anyway. So Mindy is taking a break from writing. I did this yesterday. So I binge watched Legend of Korra, and I finally finished it this morning. But taking a break. Oh, by the way, I had to redo the ending because I fallen asleep on the couch this morning. But it was still good. It's not an Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it was still good. I'm just saying.
You can't catch lightning in a bottle twice.
Yes, but it's okay. I'll take the thunderclap afterwards. But she's taking a break from writing and doing a shift where she is working on the timelines. I actually need to do this, and I might be doing this today. Because I finished book 1. Book 2 is kind of is a companion novel and runs across the same timeline. So I need to make sure that I double check that. Working on the characters. Oh no, it jumps. Now I know what everyone's talking about where they're like, it jumped.
Oh, the jumping is real.
Oh my God. I'm even on my phone.
Hello, Rosalind. How are you doing?
Hello, dear. By the way, everyone, I was born and raised in the South, and Charlie was raised in the Ozarks. So we will say, dear, if it's Honey Child, you need to probably get off the stream. Like, run. Just avoid it. But dear, sweetheart, darling, all of those. Darlin, not darling.
Oh, darling. No. Beware the sounded G. Beware the sounded
here
G.
Here is Syracuse. It's releasing Tuesday. Okay, yep. I knew it was soon. I just didn't remember when. And there is the hyperlink. By all means, go get it. If you like thrillers, go for it.
That's my reward for finishing my daily word count on Tuesday. I think rewarding I'm going to sit back and read it and start reading.
Important. I usually do cookies and candy because those are my vice, and soda. I allow myself 1 soda a day, and it usually ends up being diet anyways. So, but that's mostly because I have to work out for work, and I notice I do better when my sugar intake is down, and so because of that, I'm trying to switch to like the healthier sweet stuff and do like fruits as sweets instead of just sour punch straws and airheads and all the bad stuff.
Contrary to popular opinion, I don't have much of a sweet tooth, but you give me something that's rich and buttery and I'm there.
Like, so one of my favorite lunches, this might seem weird to some, is I love to do peanut butter and banana. And I also will put that in a tortilla and wrap it up. Yes. And I slice up the banana in it. I love it. So we're doing leftover tacos tonight, and I usually do a taco salad anyway because I like the crunch. But when we do tacos, we have tortillas on hand. I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna do it. So that's what I have for lunch. That I'll be eating during breaks. All right, getting through here. This last two. There was several times when I caught repetitive sentences or when I needed to remove the said tags. Oh my God, I actually avoid them. My critique partners are like, who's talking here? Which, by the way, is one of the mistakes I list in my video. I call it, look who's talking. No, seriously, look who's talking. And whose line is it anyway? I like puns.
Just set up a pattern. Just set up a pattern, and then they can go away. And
Yeah.
the best part of it is to actually make them into actions, so that you have actions punctuating
Ooh,
dialogue. So,
yes.
and
And like,
don't do the one thing that I do is turn everybody into bobbleheads, because all of my characters are talking like this, like they're at a headbangers
and
ball.
their hands are like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
I did the same thing, and actually one of my things is because it's first person, when the therapist is speaking, I have my MC having a thought reaction to the therapist's words. And the feedback I'm getting is that I need to remove the thoughts inside the dialogue. Like, I can break up the therapist dialogue with my MC's thoughts, but they don't need to be in one large paragraph, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I made notes, but I am waiting to do a major writing for Milwordy. Is that cheating? No. Make
No.
all the notes. Because, hold on. Wait there. Don't go
Oh
anywhere.
no, Stephanie, that is not cheating at all. I'm I've been sitting back with a lot of stuff that I was just like, oh, I really want to work on this now, but I'm like, this first is coming.
This is why I didn't do this in red ink. Okay, it would look like I had a nosebleed on the paper, but this is my first novel. And you see all these notes, and actually, this is fine. It's the notes where I have paragraphs, like a line of blue ink down the side of the paragraph, pretty much telling myself the whole thing needs to go. But my point is that I went through this whole novel, and then I went into Scrivener and edited it all. So I am all for read through, make all the notes you need to, then edit, because also when you go back and edit, you're going to catch other things and you can edit that as well. If you edit as you go, you're going to have 20 versions going on and you're going to forget what happened when with who.
And also remember, just for everybody like me who had really hellacious first drafts back in the day, your writing will get cleaner as you go. Like, the more comfortable you get with the craft, it will get cleaner. That doesn't mean you're not going to have to do major developmental stuff on the back end, but your writing does get cleaner.
I know, going through and editing that, I'm like, oh my God, am I like editing my 16-year-old self right now? Like, I was so like almost defeated. Like, what was I thinking? But then someone said somewhere, and it stuck with me, is when you go back on your work and you're catching mistakes, that right there proves that you have improved as a writer already, that you're able to fix your previous writing.
Yeah.
I will also say, when I do my own writing and I critique it and I edit it and then I post it to critique partners, they will catch stuff, and they always will. And when I critique their stuff, I'm able to catch the same mistakes that they're catching on me. So you can always catch someone else's work better than you can catch your own.
And it's important to know what your blind spots are.
Yes. And then reach out to people for that.
Yeah. I've created some of my own contractions, apparently, that exist inside my head that I know what they mean. Like, I literally just have my first round of editing is always going through and just doing auto find and replace, because anytime with the appears, I just type WITHE. I don't, it's not two separate words. It's one word in my head. And so I know that I've got this list of contractions that I just do when I draft.
And then find replace.
Yep. Find replace.
Fix it all. That was awesome. All right. I've reached the end of the comments. Charlie, I know you do best with our longer sprints. That's how you succeed, like 25 minutes. But I don't have that type of endurance.
Oh no, I'm reading today, so.
Oh I brought my book up here. I'm still in the middle of On Writing by Stephen King. I've been trying to do it. I'm over halfway.
I like the book.
Yeah, I haven't finished it, but I like the humor. But then my son, right before I put him to bed, he pulled my bookmark out. So I'm not sure if I want to commit trying to remember where the hell I was. But with that, I'm trying to
put this novella into shape to hand out to alphas.
Ooh, there you go. I am going to do 20 minutes. It's some beautiful sounds in the background. I found this thing called Mr. Timer, and I love it.
Ooh, that moon is life.
I love it. With the I
Mhm.
have it on autocorrect now, that helps. That's a good point. If
I,
you
I
know you
I
typed something and you don't want to
need
like
to do
hiccup yourself to fix it, just have it fix itself automatically.
that. I need to do that. I think that's what actually happened to a couple sentences that I cannot understand what were in this thing. Is that my
Yes.
autocorrect went, "Oh, you actually meant this," and swapped all. But it would have had to have swapped like every word. Like I had to have misspelled every word
Oh,
in the sentence so badly that it could not understand what they were originally intended to be.
it's okay. It's okay. As long as you can navigate, or it sends you into such a tizzy of like, what the hell was going on here when I wrote this, that you know the general idea and you write it again
Yeah,
and it's better.
that's basically what I did. But that's why I always
It's so
joke
much
like
work.
I'm trying to make this into English.
Just trying. No big deal.
Though I have
All
to say,
right.
I
Yeah.
am known for putting random German into my first drafts. So
Eh. I did put German in mine, but that was because my I think I talked about this before. My MC was dude, and it's a thought of mine that I kind of put on my MC. But the people who know multiple languages, they seem like they can get over their emotions faster because they just jump to that other language and cuss and get it all out of their system. And my MC was kind of jealous of that. And so she was like, I got to know some cuss word in another language. So she comes out and goes, Scheiße. She's like, yes, I knew one. I feel better now, which
beware
is
when I
funny
start
because
yelling at people in Yiddish.
when I was in Germany with friends and stuff like that, my daughter and my friends' kids do. They said Scheiße, and I'm like, no, 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 no. Just because it's in another language, it's still a cuss word. You can't say it. Just to let you know, sweetie. Everyone loves on writing. Okay, so I just got to push through and read it. I might read that first, and then I'll do timeline stuff and everything. And just in case anybody wants to know, I plan to do this until about 3. So we'll probably at least get 2 sprints in, maybe 3. We'll see. I don't know. It depends on how much we chat. So y'all ready?
Yep.
Well, the chat will delay, so I'm just assuming the chat's ready. But Charlie, you're ready. Let's go for it. I'm gonna also eat some lunch. All right. Are you gonna mute yourself, or should I mute you on this side?
I'll mute myself.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful music. Okay, I'm gonna
That
mute
is really
myself.
pretty.
I'm about to chomp on some chips. I don't want y'all to hear that. That was a really peaceful ending. I don't think I've always listened to the
Yeah,
end
I was
like
not
that.
expecting that. Like when the ring happened, I was like, is that the end?
Like, I'm just imagining like chimes or a harp or like type thing. I love it. It reminds me of I like these peaceful ones because even
Oh,
Laura Needle's
yeah.
channel, she does the rain and then it's a
Uh,
thunder clap at the end. And I mean there's
yeah.
thunder throughout, but the final one is just so well, I read 10 pages. I kept on getting distracted with food and I kept looking at the timer and I looked outside a bit, but like I'm happy with 10 pages. I
Yeah, I
started to get
just
my act
cheated.
together near
I
the end.
didn't do anything
So,
that I thought I was going to do because I realized, oh, no, no, no,
no,
no,
then
no, it
that's
was work.
self-care.
Um, oh,
Oh,
yeah, no,
sorry.
I
I tried to help
accidentally
you.
made a YouTube video the other day and I was like, okay,
Okay.
okay,
Do
so
tell,
I,
sweetie,
I've,
please.
I've been doing this podcast forever.
Well, while we wait for the chat to
I've been doing
update
this
with
podcast
what
forever,
people
and
have
I just
done.
had this thought the other day of how easy would it be to take segments from the podcast because I record in like 5-minute segments and turn it into a video. And I took the audio and I threw it into Adobe Spark, and a little while later, I was like, "Oh crap! I think I have a video." And I showed it to the hubby, and the hubby was like, "Yeah, that's really good. I like that. You should post that." And I was just like, you know, the hubby was right. I guess I should just schedule that for release at some point. So I was going through and playing with TubeBuddy, trying to figure out what tags should be in it and getting lost in like, really? That's a tag? People put that in their tags? Really? And
That exists.
that's a topic people talk about? Okay. I don't think I'm going to be doing that one, but okay, this one will work. And getting things tagged, and I made a thumbnail for it and it's scheduled. So I actually have a
What?
video scheduled to premiere in 2 weeks. So
Yay! What day and time? I
it's
mean,
going to be
though,
on
I'll
Tuesday
get
at
an update, but
Tuesday at 5 Eastern when I
okay.
normally stream because I figured people are used to me streaming at that point in time anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing a video next week because I'm doing extra streams because of Millwordy.
And take
So,
care of yourself. Know your limits. We talk about this.
well, see, to me, streaming isn't work. Like, I enjoy this so much. Like, yesterday was my day off, and Laura was like, "Hey, I'm doing a stream if you want to be on it." And I was just like, I
Yeah, I
can
was on there for
sit
that
at
one.
home or I can hang out with friends. Sit at home alone or hang out with friends. I won't hang out with friends.
Technically, you did both. Throw
Technically.
El Dorado. Both? Both.
Yes, but I had more people to talk to than just the angry cats that
Yeah. I mean, there was like 5 hosts at one point on that one, right?
yes. Yeah.
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 I always find it interesting. I don't do well personally if like I realized when you did your stream and that was my first time being on a stream. I realize I don't do well in the big groups because I'm so vocal and I start to take over the conversation. And I
I have that
try to
problem
ask
too.
questions to get other people to talk, but then I'm like, they say something, I'm like, oh, that reminds me. I'm like, stop it, shut up.
I
Like,
do that
let other
too.
people talk. So I
I just
realize,
Yeah, I
go
just live
on.
in a dream of those chaos streams where people are just like popping in and popping out and like everybody's there. I'm just like, I want that in my
Yeah.
house.
So Sarah Keith got some coffee
Oh,
and
coffee.
she's doing some revision work right over 2 pages. Yes. I think the coffee is probably the most important in that list. I don't drink coffee, but I know the importance of coffee because my husband, if he doesn't have coffee, uh, we're momentarily not married
I think my hubby
until
would
he
feel
gets
the
the
same
coffee.
way. I think the hubby would feel the same way
So,
because
Mindy, oh, coming along on the timeline. Sweet. You were gonna say about the hubby? Wait.
oh no, I was just saying like I have no memory until I get at least 1.5 cups of coffee in me. So God help you if you try to have a conversation with me before that, because who knows who you're gonna get. Because if I was having a bad dream, you're gonna get like the nastiest person talking to you. So he just like sneaks in, puts the coffee next to me, and is like, it's
Smart.
time to wake up, and then runs and hides for a bit.
Leave quickly.
Yes, leave quickly. Charlie without coffee is a dangerous, dangerous thing.
Yeah. What? You don't want to wake the sleeping dragon.
Oh, oh,
For me, I love my sleep so much, and it's so funny because my husband in the morning, if he'll wake up before me sometimes, because I working from home, I don't have to be on the computer until like 8, even though I shoot for like 7:30. And so he wakes up at 6 to make sure our oldest gets up, gets breakfast, and she gets on the bus and stuff. She's pretty self-sufficient. We just double check. And I get up when the youngest wakes up, which is sometimes 6:30. Technically, he wakes up earlier than that, but it takes me a while to wake up to his sounds of like mom, mom. Um, but when I do wake up, it's like 6:30. Sometimes it's been 6:45, and I come downstairs. My husband's been awake already for like 45 minutes. He's probably on his second cup of coffee, and he's like, "Oh, so I saw this thing," and I'm like, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm." And I do the thing where I'm usually on my phone. I'm seeing if YouTube, like anybody put videos up that I haven't seen, or I'm watching a show or something, or I have to give up my phone to my son because I'm not listening to him complain in the morning. And when my husband starts talking, I go,
yeah,
"Mhm."
yep.
Like that slow blink of, why are you speaking to me right now? And he sees my face and he goes, I'm doing it. And I'm like, yeah,
Words.
you are. It's too
Mhm.
much.
Yeah, yeah.
Waiting for kids to wake up. And, oh, you got in super late? Oh, well, at least you're letting the kids sleep in. I've been kind of mean, but so productive. So my daughter wakes up at 6 during the week for school, and she goes to school right now. We were okay with the school setup of COVID and everything. And plus she takes her lunch to school every day, so it's not like there's not that much interaction with her and other students because they're also using their own school supplies. It's not a mass
Okay.
gathering of it and just grab what you want. So we felt pretty confident about it. And but she on the weekends, if she's not up at 8:30, I'm going to wake her up because she usually wakes up at 6 during the week. And I've been up since like 6:45 every single day because I'm on little man's schedule. So um, I'm not sure if it's because I actually care about her sleep schedule staying constant or if it's I'm jealous of her sleeping. I want to go with her sleep schedule stays constant. But and she's been waking up before 8 on her own anyway. I'm just a 8:30 or later is a
See,
no go.
I'm a sleep fighter. Like I cannot sleep well for the life of me. I try to do dream yoga at night because it helps, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I have like very rigid routines. Like the hubby has learned over the years, like there's an magic hour before bed where I am doing everything I can to make sleep potentially happen this evening. And then I just lay there in bed. But when I finally get there, don't try to wake me up. Like, I just like, that's what the alarms are for. Just let the sounds take my wrath when they finally stir me from my slumber. But I fight sleep so bad.
Stephanie says she got home from the drive to the beach around 10 p.m. and it's 11 a.m. now. We start school tomorrow. He's 7, so it's fine. Usually, so with me with sleep, and I noticed with the kids too, especially when we moved to Germany and then moved back. When we moved back, we were all awake at like 4 a.m. Every single one of us. And it was like, why? But it wasn't the day we woke up early. We felt fine that day. It was the next day, like the day after that the sleep deprivation occurred. It's like delayed onset or something. I don't know what it is, but that was the day where I'm like, I'm not human. I don't know what it takes to get human right now. I need to shower. I might start coffee.
I don't even know what human would feel like anymore after all these years. Like, I've just accepted I'm an alien. I'm a pod person, and I'm just gonna do my thing and just deal.
I've noticed. Yes, what's going on in the world right now is very sad. I know a lot of people have lost loved ones and such like that, but I feel like there is going to be a cultural shift in multiple countries. The one I could only speak to is America, of where people realize, listen, as long as the work is getting done, does it really have to be done between 8 and 5? You know, and
well, a lot of the major corporations have started shutting down their headquarters permanently because they found people were more productive working from home. So a lot of announcements have started coming out that the large companies aren't going to be doing that. And I know. And really,
actually, there's been studies showing that people are working like 3 extra hours per week working from home, which scares me. But also at the same time, I don't know what the average travel time for people for work. For me, it's always been like 15 minutes or less.
Yeah, I
live somewhere. I don't like traveling too much. I don't want it to take away from my home time. But I could see, like, I mean, if you're getting extra 3 hours a week, sorry, I can't do the math that quickly, but whatever number of minutes that is a day, that's probably accounting for the travel time that you had before.
Yeah.
And so, or maybe even less or more, depending on who you are. But I think really it comes down to, I think it's getting more results focused than hour focused. Quality over quantity. There we go. That's the word.
Yeah, because I know from my own life, like this year has really changed the way I think about everything, like a lot of my relationships and how to manage them. Because before this, because most of my friends are on the coasts, because I lived mostly on the coast most of my life. So most of my friends are either up in New York or Maryland or out in California. And it was always like, oh, we have to Skype or we have to talk on a video chat. You know, it was just like, we're so far away. And, you know, like now it's just like, yay, we get to have our video chat meeting today. Yay! You know, like, because we don't go out at all anymore. You know, it's completely changed.
Like these WriterTube, AuthorTube, whatever you're going to end up calling it, like these live streams and stuff, I feel connected with people again. And I have video calls with people with work too. And even some of my coworkers, I mean, I just started this new job in June. Some of my coworkers, we just started talking. I mean, it's like an hour on the phone and we're talking about our kids. We're talking about like we talk about work for a little bit, but then we evolve into like talking about trying to get out and walk or something like that. And I think people are getting a little more personable even through the technology. And luckily, oh my God, can you imagine if this happened in the 90s? Trying to deal with dial-up in the hearing that sound.
We were talking about what's the biggest tech memory that you have, and I just had this moment of I remember when we got our 56.6 modem and could
Mm.
actually do anything on the internet because it wasn't nightmarish anymore. It didn't take like an hour to do anything. And people
Oh
are
my
like,
god. Took
56
a full
megabytes?
day
That's
to download a
awesome.
song.
Yeah. I'm like, no, not 56 megabytes, 56 kilobytes. What? That was a thing? Oh, yeah. And we were excited about it. We were happy.
Yeah. Nicole popped in. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome, dear. Oh, I remember dial-up sigh. Yeah, anytime that I get impatient with technology and I'm like, oh my God, my video's crap or the audio's crap, I'm like, you know what? It could be worse.
I just
And
think about my great grandfather because it's like one of the biggest memories that I have is us sitting on the porch swing out in front of their house, and he was 96 years old at the time, and he said, I've seen the first car go through town. I remember when I was a kid, all we had was carts and horses, and I've seen a man walk on the moon. I can only imagine what you're going to see in your lifetime. And that has stuck with me all these years. Hey, Orla.
yeah, looking back, because I mean, even to date myself a little bit, cell phones came out the same year I was born. I remember my mom having like the brick Motorola, and actually, here's a funny story. So, age 5, my dad owned a computer shop before he died. He pretty much had to file, what is it, bankruptcy for that. I was about to say chapter 9, but I can't remember what the chapter is. Whatever. Either way.
Yeah.
But he ran a computer business, so he was pretty computer savvy. Like, I remember him playing Doom in our basement on the computer.
Oh man, Doom.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I remember watching that thinking, this is so cool. And now, like, God of War, like the latest God of War is like, that CGI is great. And I'm trying to compare it to Doom.
Like with Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out, like I remember when the first Final Fantasy VII came out and we were like, man, it's got 3D graphics. It's amazing. And like you look at it now and it's like these ball people that like little like jagged lines coming off them. And like, we used to think that was the coolest thing ever.
I like even watching the first Toy Story with my kids, I'm like, oh my God, I thought this was like the best thing since sliced bread. And the only thing that has carried on since my childhood to now, Jurassic Park.
Oh, Jurassic Park, so
amazing.
Good. So good.
So good. And then, of course, my daughter likes Jurassic World, but Jurassic World, I don't think is going to live as well just because they were so CGI focused, and I could see it getting better, and then there will be a point where Jurassic World looks, oh my God, that's so 2013.
I have to say though, the saddest part of the whole Jurassic World thing for me is I don't know if you've watched any of the short films they're putting up on their YouTube channel, because they have a YouTube channel and they're putting up short films of events that are taking place between the movies, and some of those short films have been better than the movies that they've been putting out. There's one about a dinosaur attack at a campsite that is so good.
I thought that was a preview for like the next one.
No, they're trying to do what Ridley Scott did with Prometheus, to try to get people ready and hyped for the next movie.
Well, and especially because it's like it's gonna take some time for us to have movies again. Oh my God,
I don't think movies are really.
I'm really excited for Mulan, but at a $30 price tag on Disney Plus that I already pay a subscription on.
Yep.
I'm like,
I'll wait.
Want to? I mean, it's illegal, so I'm not going to do this. But anybody want to come over and you pay a frontage charge and watch it? Because
I know. I'll wait.
For $30. First off, my husband doesn't even want to see it. Even if we went to a theater, he wouldn't want to see it. So the little man, he's not coming because I'm not dealing with that. My daughter and I wouldn't take $30 to go to a theater, even including food.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying, because I'm so excited about it, because I'm a huge fan of Chinese wuxia films. I've talked about that a lot on my channels, and that's basically what they're doing. They're going back to the source material for it, but it's supposed to be much more of a wuxia style film than the original animated one was. And that's like, oh, you just said all of my buzzwords. Like you just said, you ticked all
the hashtags.
Oh yeah, you got them all.
You're getting notifications from all sides.
Bingo, yeah. And then I'm just like, oh, and you went how much? girl, no.
Yeah, 30. It's a bit steep.
And if you stop
we already
paying for
talked about
Disney
this.
Plus,
I
it
like
goes away.
free. Yeah.
It's not like getting it on.
I mean, $30
some-
is how much the Blu-ray would cost, like to buy. Oh yeah, the internet turning off whenever there was a phone call. Oh my god.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And then
Oh yeah.
I remember, first off, I remember holding the cord phone and waiting for the phone to spin to untangle. And then or you get on and someone else in the family gets on, you're like, get off the phone, I'm on. Because my sister, we were 4 years apart. I was the youngest, and we have an older sister who was like 12 years older than me, but it's okay. But it was funny. I think if there's a higher being, God or whatever you believe in, he or she had a sense of humor, making my sister and I related.
See, now I'm gonna have Blasphemous Rumors by Depeche Mode stuck in my head.
Anytime someone says Depeche Mode, I think of oh god, they sang Personal Jesus, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right, I remember going on dial-up internet and my mom cracking up because it was hogging up the phone line.
I remember the fight with my mom because I wanted a second line for my room because I got tired of her telling me I couldn't be on the phone all the time, and she was like, "You're too young for a phone," and I'm just like, "I'm 16, I got a job, I'll pay for that phone," and she's just like, "You won't pay your bills." I'm like, "I'll pay my bills, I won't get my own phone." Well, somebody's got to sign for it. It's like, I get Dad to do it. Oh no, you won't. Like, the biggest fights I ever had was over getting the phone line into my own room.
Oh yeah, I remember a guy who lived down the road. It was a group of us kids, all around the same age, and he got his own phone line. I never got my own phone line, but I was like, when I was 16, I bought my first phone myself. I bought it off eBay, and actually, it wasn't until I bought the iPhone 6 Plus that was my first buying new phone. And that came out. I bought it 2 years after it had already been out because I was cheap still. Surprise. But all phones before then, it was eBay. I would just buy a unlocked, whatever the special word is for them. So I'm frugal. I will teach you some frugality. If I could do an entire channel on that of we're gonna go to Goodwill, we're gonna go to Salvation Army. Here's a consignment shop.
Yeah, that's
I even posted it on my Instagram, spending $50-$30 for my daughter's entire wardrobe and 5 more pants for my son.
That's the bad joke in the house. It's like, you don't understand. I grew up poor, and I mean poor. I didn't know what new clothes looked like forever.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in seconds and secondhand clothing, and if you don't know what seconds are, congratulations.
Having a sister 4 years older than me, got all her hand-me-downs. She got the new stuff. I didn't. But it was okay because I didn't mind her style. The downside is that she always got the tall. She had longer legs than me, so I always had to give it hemmed. Then I went to consignment shops growing up, and it's funny. I thought we were poor growing up. I really did because I didn't get everything I wanted. It was kind of a few years behind all the other kids. Of course, I also, the kids that I went to school with, it's going to sound bad. I went to a private school, but it was because the public school was so bad. And it's actually not until this year that I found out my grandparents were helping my parents send me to the school. So mine was tight, and that sounds kind of pretentious. Anyway, point of the story is, don't judge me. The point of the story is that I thought we were poor. Now my parents are in their 60s, zero debt, because they were doing this
Frugal.
They were being very frugal and doing this snowball of paying down all their debt so that by the time they retired, they had zero debt. So that's my goal. And I was almost at zero debt, and then my husband's truck was not reliable, so we had to go get a vehicle payment. But I'm okay with that. It's okay.
Yeah, we bought a restaurant because there's no greater way to make money in a time of crisis than to have a place people have to go to.
But y'all, how has it helped with at least have y'all done dine-in options with separated and
Yeah, we're doing a lot of that. We also do a lot of delivery. That's been picking up a lot. We also do curbside pickup. It's just it's one of those really funny things that like it's hard to get people to understand our life around here because like you're a business owner, you got to have so much money, and it's like no, we went into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to have this. Like we went backwards hoping to get forward. Like
my dad, after the computer business, he started his own business. And growing up, I never understood this joke, but now that I'm older, I realize it. My mom was a nurse. Actually, everyone in my family, the females in my family, have gone into the medical field, but me. I didn't get the memo. But anytime telemarketers would call or people call asking for money, my mom would go, "Oh, my husband hasn't brought a paycheck home in 12 years." And him owning his own business, it was true.
Yeah.
He never brought home a paycheck.
This is very true. Because we've been self-employed in one way or another for a long time. And yeah. It's an interesting experience, especially in, I guess I'm supposed to use the buzzword of our times, amid times like these. Especially, around here, because, living in the rusty buckle of the Bible Belt, there's some pushback on people like us owning a restaurant and stuff. So it's an interesting place and an interesting time to live in.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to be
glad their conversations are at least being had. They're not being shoved under a rug. And it sucks that the conversations are aggressive, but it reminds me of when my sister and my father used to have like yelling matches at each other, and my mom would go, "They're communicating." Like, really, Mom? I don't want that communication.
Yeah.
But conversations are being had, and to me, that is the first step. Of course, I'm someone and I'll be public on this, I'm bisexual. And even though some people are like, "Well, you're married, are you?" And I'm like, well, I still appreciate looking. But the point is that from that perspective, conversations are being had, and I feel like that is a step in the right direction. Especially as long as when the conversations are being had, they're not one-sided. As long as both sides are talking, we can maybe get somewhere.
Because that's been the most interesting thing about living here is, for all my life, I've been that one person that people know that has that one strange thing about them that they can ask about. And so, I've become a font of knowledge because that's what I have to be. But yeah, it's a strange world right now. It's a really strange world. And I don't think it's going to get back to normal. Like, I think people are wanting normalcy. And like, I'm looking around at like, well, the movies are going to be coming back. And I'm like, I don't know anybody who seriously wants to go into a dark room filled with strangers to watch a movie anymore. Mm-hmm. Like our culture, our entire culture is going to change from this. And if you're not, especially if you're in the creative field and you're not thinking about that, like if you're not thinking about how you're going to get audiobooks out or how you're going to be repackaging your stories to meet the needs of the culture going forward and trying to feel out where your genre is going to go, you're going to miss some buses. Now is the time to start figuring out where they're lining up and try to get on.
Need to have a pulse on the goings on. It's if you have an online presence in any way, even just a Facebook profile, you are getting inundated with information. So it's kind of, no one can, I hate using absolutes, but it's difficult to claim ignorance in this day and age right now. Of like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. Oh, did you? Because like 100 of your Facebook friends have shared this one post.
Well, it's the one thing that I always bring up that gets me in trouble is like this, just be happy this isn't the AIDS crisis. Like I'm old enough. I remember that and nobody talked about it. And thousands of people were dying and the president wouldn't say our name, and there was no social media. There was no way to get out like that there was this plague destroying the country. there are ways for us to talk now that change everything. So never feel alone. Like, that's one message of the modern day. Never feel alone. You will find somebody.
Definitely, there's a way to find a voice. And even one of the best pieces of advice I ever got, of course it's tied in with my work, but they said, listen, if you have nothing to say, that's okay, but still use your voice to second what someone else says.
Yep.
If you have nothing new to add. And that's stuck with me, and not just in the work aspect of meetings and stuff where I feel like I have no place to speak, but in other aspects of like, I have nothing to add, but I'm going to help lift up this person's voice and say, I agree with them. Exactly everything they said.
And I think that one of the things that we don't consider as powerful, especially as writers, is that we have the ability to touch people in a way that others don't. So the themes that we put into our stories and the way that we construct our narratives do, in fact, change minds. They do change hearts. They are a superpower. So no matter how ridiculous your story is, it's why I'm always talking about these people. They do silly devil music about sacrificing people and dancing in blood. And they've created the most amazing, but they've created the most amazing community around them of people that are there to help each other and take care of each other, because at the heart of all their music is, we have to take care of each other because no one's going to come and save us. We have to be there for each other. And it creates this strong community. No matter what your weirdness is, embrace it, put it out there, and people will gravitate towards it. I mean, who would have thought people would have all of these little green men in their house talking backwards at them, right? I mean, no, seriously, like, how weird is Star Wars if you just think about it rationally? But
I mean,
it's the biggest thing
I
in the
can tell
world.
you, as a kid, I did not appreciate Star Wars. I thought it was like a waste of time. I got Star Wars confused with Star Trek. To be honest.
Cardinal
But
sin.
But as I've gotten older, I watched the movies again and gave them the time. And yes, the plot twist is kind of ruined because they've been out for so many years, but it still helped me appreciate it as an adult. To me, it's kind of like even the same thing. I didn't like the movie It's a Wonderful Life as a kid. It was boring, black and white. Who wants to watch that? And then as an adult, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is what it's about, and I actually enjoy it now. So it's interesting how.
It's why I always go to Fast and Furious. Like, if you don't understand how to do theme, if you don't understand how to get people excited about your world, watch the Fast and Furious movies starting at 5, where they really got this down. Those movies are about family. They're about family with cars exploding and doing crazy things all around them. But it's the message that brings people in. But it's that heart that brings people in. It's that speech that Vin Diesel gives in every movie where they're all sitting around at the barbecue that makes people go, oh, and fall in love with that franchise, because that's what carries people through.
I'm not going to give up on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you can be as ridiculous as you want to be, as long as your story has heart. Because they're the ultimate go-to when you think my story is too crazy. Have you seen what is it, Furious 8 or F8 or whatever they called it?
Wait, are we talking about the scene that lasts forever on a
on the ice? Yeah. Oh yeah, that one too. Oh, I was talking about the one on the ice where they're being chased by a sub in cars. Okay. A submarine is chasing them in cars. Okay. If you think your story is ridiculous, this movie made hundreds of millions of dollars. You're okay.
But also, they didn't start making those choices until after they already had a following.
Right.
So you usually can't come out of the gate with the off the wall crazy. I wouldn't even call it crazy, but you're off the wall.
Didn't you have your Rocky Horror Picture Shows? Then you have your Rocky Horror Picture Shows that are just
the whole following
insane. Yeah, I'm just saying, no matter how crazy you think your stuff is, there's an audience out there for you.
There is, And I think like a lot of people feel isolated
Yep.
and like that no one understands. But in actuality, there's someone else who is like, oh, whew, done that, been there.
Mm-hmm.
Or they've been something similar. And actually, I was saying my mom used to tell me, and it's kind of stuck with me, is if you had to go through something personally to realize what it's like, we wouldn't have male gynecologists. So with that, I'm just saying it may
Yeah.
take 10 years of studying and talking with people who actually have gone through it, but you can become an expert in just about any field.
That needs to be a t-shirt. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I know I'm always telling people what merch they should be selling, but I would buy that as a motivational poster to have on the wall.
I love my mother. My mom's great. My mom even bought me a shirt that says it's not hoarding if it's books and stuff. So she's been
I
a
like that
great
too.
cookie.
I like that too.
Oh,
That's
all right. With
that is
that,
perfection.
no one's commenting, or if they have, hopefully they're laughing so hard that they're not commenting. But I figured it's time we can do another sprint. My kid's still asleep, so I'm wondering if he's still going to be asleep, where we could actually get a third sprint in.
Ooh.
With anything, my oldest is here, and right when he wakes up, he just gets some milk. And my
That's
oldest,
good.
she's 9, she can help a little bit, like for a few minutes. So
That's good, Orla.
don't worry, she gets
And
paid.
Mindy. I'm
Oh
cheating. I'm
yeah.
looking at the actual YouTube chat.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy the chatter. Got into the chatter. Yeah.
Well, so normally I'm like all business, and I'm like sprint, but I'm like, you know what? No worries about the come up. Let's chat.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
chill.
If you want the Forced March stream Tuesday, my channel, we're gonna be getting some words.
Actually, I've kind of liked the especially when it's a lot of people in the chat. I'm sorry, Charlie, I can't remember if it's your channel or someone else's, but and I want to say yours, where even though you're like 10 comments up, still going through them and reading, you go ahead and paste in the chat, hey, here's like the link
The
for the
forest
forest app and
burn.
stuff like that, so that by the time you get down in the comments, you're like, oh, now it's time. And I really like that. Now, I'm not going to have that many people right now, but that's okay. It's okay. I like the small groups too.
That's my biggest fear doing YouTube is I like knowing the people that are in the chat and what they're working on, and I kind of don't want to get to a point where I don't know that anymore. But
yeah, I feel
that's outside of my control.
Admit, when I'm in the big groups, I love following like the big writer tubers and stuff like that, and in their live streams and stuff. But I don't feel a part of there. It's like I kind of feel more like a fly on the wall, like someone going back to high school feelings of like where you're in the class, but you're not in the little subgroup in the class. You're just in the class.
Yeah,
and it's kind of that.
Yeah,
it's kind of that feeling. But at the same time, as long as at least in most chats, like I mean, like I've seen Orla in the chat. I've seen Stephanie in the chat and stuff like that. Nicole, for Thomas in the chat and stuff, like we'll comment to each other, even though the people on the stream aren't directly talking to us. We at least lift each other up, and that's the family that I like.
I'm very excited about Orla's anthology. That I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I have an idea.
I wrote mine.
I have not written mine yet.
And the thing is, so I feel I'm a contemporary writer. I'm noticing like that's kind of my go-to right now. And I especially because I said we were going to freaking do a sprint, but never mind. I love cozy chats best. Listen, the chat is enjoying this. We'll continue. But I am in love with watching Faith in Humanity Restored videos on YouTube. Like I'm sitting there bawling, going,
"Oh yeah,
save the puppy." you know,
Yes.
and stuff like
Yes.
that. So I love it. I love it when people just like strangers, like the guy in France who scaled 4 stories of the side of the building to save a hanging toddler.
Oh
You
yeah, I
know,
remember
like
that.
that's the I may pick that one because most people, even if you don't watch the videos like I do religiously, they know that story. And that was like, God, years ago now. But those are the stories I love. So to the point where the short stories I'm doing are inspired by that, where they have their
That's
thing. And
awesome.
I'm kind of doing oh God, what is it called? Remember the movie Crash? Or actually,
Yes.
any of these movies like Crash or God, there were some other movies, Love Actually, where you have these
That
sub
slice of
stories.
life. Yeah,
Yeah, these sub stories, but the characters end up crossing paths with the other characters at times, even though these stories take place in different parts. And I'm really excited for it. But at the same time, I'm like, I like this. Is anyone else going to? I'm enjoying writing it. I mean, I'm still going to write it, but I'm just like, as I write my contemporary stuff, even my therapy novel, some of the feedback I'm getting is like, wait, every chapter takes place in the therapist's office. I'm like, yeah, sorry, you're getting all the stories through dialogue.
well, it's like when I say that, you'll find your audience. When I wrote The Chain,
Right.
that was literally the book that I wrote to torpedo my career. I mean, I've said that like every time I talk about that book because I was so mad that, oh, I'm only good enough to be on the diversity panels. I used to be on everything, and now I'm that queer writer who shows up who can only talk about the queer things. And so that was a book designed to just filter a lot of rage out into the world and to see exactly how queer a book could get before it just caught on fire from all of the queerness inside of it.
On
And
fire.
oh no, everyone
Or
in
we're
there,
talking like burn to the ground fire.
it takes place in a drag bar in an alternate or on an alternate Earth with magic and actual literal fairies. Tossing shade is a spellcraft that can burn people to the ground. Okay, like it is the gayest
Oh my
book that has
god.
ever gayed in the history of
No, it
gaydom.
sounds fabulous. And if you gay as in happy, because dear Lord, that sounds fabulous.
Like,
Because
and
that
I put it out there. I was like, and this is the end. And then I like watched, and like in the first 2 weeks, it sold like 2,000 copies, and I'm just like, okay. Well,
oh
I
honey,
don't know
I
anything
need this
anymore.
book in my life. I need to read this. See, I feel so sheltered. Like, so my husband, he's a big Stephen King fan. Like, if you ever watch my videos, all the Stephen King behind me is his. On Writing is the first Stephen King book I've ever read. I know, sacrilege.
No,
But
I'm not a big fan of Stephen King.
okay.
I
Well,
love On Writing, but
I listened. Oh, never mind. I did listen to the audiobook The Cell, and I hate how he left me at the end on that one. I was like,
that's
but what's gonna happen? Like what? And stuff. But I'm reading On Writing. I think I might read some of the others, but I honestly have a huge list of books to read right now. Like I still want to read Save the Cat novel edition. I got a sci-fi space opera that I want to read that I got for free. Actually, it was kind of cool. Um, Definitely want to read that. And but I just got a list. But then I'm like, and I also got to write a million words. I mean, I don't have to. There's my secondary goal, 750,000 or the 500,000, but still. But
well, this
yeah.
is where for me, like I've this is my thing that I'm putting out for everyone. Because the reason I decided to do Millwordy is I kind of discovered about myself that writing is like a muscle. And I would go through these cycles where I would write and then I would revise. And then writing again was so hard to get back into it. And I want to get to a place where I'm doing as little non-writing as possible. Like even if it's just a little bit every day, I want to be writing every day because it feels like once I get out of the habit of writing, it's really, really difficult for me to get back into it. And so I
Yes.
would just have these like, it's this bad roller coaster that I've been
It's
going
it's
through
like
over all
working
these
out.
years.
Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
may be okay, so getting back into writing is not going to be as bad, as difficult, I mean, as the first time you started writing because the first time you had no muscle and then you built it up and then maybe you took a break, vacation or whatever, and then now you're getting back into writing. So it's whereas the first time took a week, this might take 3 days, but you're still going to be sore. It's going to feel like pulling and stuff. And I know for me, like when I actually, because I plan to do Milwordy vlog every 7 days, so I'll post on Tuesdays. But I'm looking back, I actually documented how long it took me on my first book, and I kept track of that. And my best week was 15,000. But
My very first
I
book took
wasn't
me 4
including
years
work.
to write.
Wow.
And that was just writing. Now, granted, I was a kid. I started
Yeah.
that book when I was 12, but it took 4 years to write that first book, and it is a garbage fire. But, um,
Mindy said good point, by the way. And
yeah,
writing. She'll
yeah.
see
And
later
so
what she'll write. It'll be a mystery to all.
but that's the goal, because I had gotten myself up to, my daily goal is about 2,400 words a day now, because it was at 16, and that just got too easy because I got into the habit and the words were just flowing. And I was like, well, 1,600, that's too easy. I'm going to bump it up another 800 words and go 2,400. And then that got to the point where every day I was getting 2,400 words by, fairly early on in the day, usually. So I'm like, well, it's like 28 to 32 to do the wordy. Like, that's not, too much higher than
far off.
Yeah, it's not that far off from where I actually am.
And just like I go running sometimes, and there's some days where I'm like, whoo, I did a mile in this. And then there's other days where I'm like, let's not even look at the time. But you're going to have those days when writing. And so, yes, there is an average, but you're going to shoot above it. Awesome. And then maybe if you shoot above it enough times, you will give yourself a break and be like, you know what, it's okay. This time it was lower, or you know what, today I'm not even going to write. I need some self-care before I burn out. And I feel like that is the goal of Milwordy. Yes, there is a million word goal, but the goal of Milwordy, I think, is to realize where, like we were talking about before we came on, realize where your limits are. Yes, you will get better and your limits will expand, but you don't want to break them at all.
Because that's really where I'm at right now, and I'm feeling like for the recording, like I hit my limit in recording, and I'm pulling back.
You were adjusting appropriately for that.
But we don't know what we can do, because the worst thing that we as creative people in general do is second guess what we can accomplish.
What? No, we don't.
Because it keeps us safe. You don't have to dare to try if you're just like, maybe,
Yeah. By the way, this is me subconsciously pushing myself to read more. I don't think I'm going to do my timeline today, but I can at least read some more. We'll see. It works.
I have so much writing that I have planned over the next couple of years, and I think it would be amazing if I could get it done in one.
I think make sure you have that as a nice goal, not the goal.
Oh no, it is not the goal.
Okay.
The goal is to get the goal is by September of next year to still be in a good mental health space, because I have been on the unscheduled mental health vacation, and I did not like it. The beaches are cold and wet, and the sand gets everywhere, and I don't like it.
You talk about the beaches being cold and wet, and it makes me think of the beach in Inception, where it's like the waves are crashing and it's the wind howling and stuff like that. So
that is not my vacation island. I am not going back there, no matter how much my brain wants me to go back there. I ain't going back. So
you can't make me.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I think that this is really exciting. I'm glad that Kate and some of the others who brought it up did, because sometimes you need somebody else to be like, here, crazy idea, for you to go, crazy idea.
And then we just build off that and we make a public announcement. And now we're like, well, now I have to do it.
Now I have to do it.
It's put out into the universe.
I said I would do it.
Through.
Why did I do that?
When I commented on Kate's video, I was like, all right, I'm doing it. And I put in parentheses, remember this moment, future Natalie. Like, this is the moment, like, where you kind of signed your name in blood, kiddo.
Yeah, I really kind of feel like that, because that
works. All right, so this is by Mr. Timer. I found them when I was looking. I'm gonna create my own timer at some point, but I like Mr. Timers. I'm gonna call him he because Mr. in the front, so we'll go with it. But they have a lot of videos, and they actually have also Christmas ones. So when Christmas season comes around, I might even do those. I don't know. They're all instrumental, but this one's peaceful, and I like the gifts in the background. It kind of helps break it up. All right, ready, Charlie?
I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1. I feel like I should be getting a massage. I can't give myself a massage, so all right, muting. That wasn't as nice as the other one.
And that
Like, it didn't have a nice sound ending or whatever.
it didn't
was
have
like,
as obvious an
hey, by
ending.
the way, look at your computer. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's my headphones, but like around the 6-minute
Yeah.
mark, there was a skip or
Yeah, I
something.
heard
I'm
that
like,
too.
is the time up? And I was like, oh God, I missed it. And my kid woke up and I'm like shouting at my daughter. I'm like, go get your brother. She wanted to. Like, so she's 9, so we don't have her change diapers. We don't have her put him to bed. She's 9. It's not her responsibility. And so she's asking me, can I put him to bed? Can I? And I'm like, well, I got a live stream. You could get him up and give him his milk and set up the TV for him. You can do that. So I'm trying to find this balance between giving her responsibility, but at the same time letting her be a kid. Because I don't know. I feel like I had a good
See,
setup.
I don't know how good I would be at that because I grew up in the country. And so like we had all kinds of responsibilities as kids, so yeah.
Yeah. I remember, so my experience with the country was actually going to visit my
Oh, yeah.
grandparents on my dad's side. And I remember being like probably 4 or 5, and I actually wanted to break apart the snap peas. That was a thing that we did right before dinner. Oh God, what was it? There's a picture of me, but I honestly don't remember it. But apparently they had chickens, and I was holding a little baby chick.
I can't eat green beans. I mean, I can. If somebody puts them in front of me, I'll eat them. But
yeah.
I
Like
had
if
to
you're visiting
snap
someone and
so
you're doing the
many
nice
green
thing.
beans as a kid. Like the smell of green
Oh,
beans
God.
takes me back to this like very unhappy place where I was on KP as a child. Just pop, 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 pop.
So Keith revised 2 more pages, so that means you're up to 4, and
That's
you got some
awesome.
tidying up done because we talk a lot, and you just went ahead and did your tidying up while we're chatting. What do you mean mixed success? Editing. Okay, editing as well. So, what did you cut more words than you wanted to, or?
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
Like,
see, I'm an underwriter, so my novels finished at 69,000. I had it while I was editing up to 73,600. Now it's back down to like 72,800. I'm just an underwriter. It happens.
see, I have this problem where, especially here lately, and some people have liked it, so I'm leaving it in for some of the stuff, but I underwrite, so I have to go back in and make sure I get rid of the white rooms and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I've
that's
been
one
spending
of my issues.
a lot of time in the characters' heads, sometimes too much, and there's like one chapter in the novella that I'm just waiting to hear back if it's like, wow, he's going through some stuff, or like why is he so whiny? Can you just like cut this? I don't know which is going to be.
Or I said I had to get rid of a scene that I liked, but it was the right decision.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that feeling. So story time. My grandmother, now we're talking about my mother's side of the family. My grandmother is preacher's wife. My grandfather was a preacher. Probably never cussed in her life that we know of. And my sister's like probably 16, which makes me about 12, and it's like her
Did
first
she have the blue hair? Please tell me she had the blue hair. Oh.
No, she just had but she had beautiful silver hair. Like her
that's
grays.
good,
I hope it carries me. Dog, really? My dog's packing up over here. Hold on. So there's Lilo. Stitch, come here. Come on, hop up. And then there's Stitch. Ooh.
My doggy's with the hubby out on the deck right now. He's doing a marathon of some of his favorite shows out there. The dog's just like, I'm chilling.
I thought you were leaving that sentence with he's doing a marathon. I'm like, what?
Oh, the idea of Brian running. That's precious. That's
so story time before I got dog distracted. So that's a little backstory of my grandmother. Well, my sister, we're talking back when you had to use calling cards to call long distance. And so we're visiting in like running a cabin in North Carolina in the mountains. And my sister's back calling her boyfriend through a calling card, and he puts her on hold. And she's like, oh my God, he put me on hold. Like, I want to hang up. And my grandmother at this point chimes in as she's doing her jigsaw puzzle that she always did. She goes, "Well, hang up on him." She's like, "No, I don't want to do that." Well, stay on the line. But I don't know how long he's going to be back on. And then my grandmother went, "Well," and we're all like my mother's jaw, my grandfather, I don't know where he is. Maybe that's why my grandmother said it, because grandpa wasn't around. But my jaw hits the floor, my sister's jaw hits the floor, my mother's jaw hits the floor. And here's the thing, we just finished watching Dogma. So we're blaming Dogma of why she...
It's all Kevin Smith's fault.
Yes.
You can't help but cuss after watching a Kevin Smith movie. I know that from real life.
Exactly. And so it was so funny. And then after it was a few years later, I was having a conversation with my sister reminiscing about it, and apparently grandma pulled her aside and was telling her, "Hey, cussing is all well and good, but if you use it all the time, it doesn't have the value that you want it to have.
It loses power."
And yeah, so she was like, "Take my example. You never heard me cuss," and I said it, and everyone's head turned, and so it was kind of that message that she was giving to my sister. And I thought that was really cool. Everything. So I kind of did that story, played on it in mine, but then I realized a therapist is not going to drop the F-bomb. So
I don't know. I had a therapist do that.
Okay. So personally, I had a therapist drop it. But it was it's all well and good, and plus I was cussing up a storm in the therapy sessions anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I talk like an angel. I mean,
I talk like a sailor.
Oh yeah.
Actually, take any military branch. That's the way I talk. I'm gonna have to change headphones.
I like to say that I cuss like somebody in the army because I spent way too much time on army bases as a kid. For inopportune reasons. But yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know what I'm going to be doing with all the stuff that's going through my head right now. Like, I'm looking at some of the story stuff that I've got going on, and I'm now at a point where I finally got all of the rights reverted to me. Like, the stuff's finally out of KDP Select and all that, so I can do whatever I want. And I'm trying to figure out what that's going to be, because I have goals, I have ambitions, but I started migrating stuff over to put out like I'm doing with Dance the Ghost, and that's taking way too much time. And it's just like, I don't know that I don't know. I'm really debating going forward, because I think the one thing that's going to make some of the people that are like, "You're selling yourself short by giving all this stuff away," are going to be happy, because my laziness might win.
It's okay. We'll forgive you.
I because it's the whole thing. Like, I really feel bad about people buying my early work just because it's early. It doesn't reflect me anymore. I've grown and changed over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Since my first book came out, and it feels weird, like, when people buy it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just like, oh, please don't judge me by that. And
don't let that be your first look into this.
Yeah. And it's not that I think that my early writing was bad, but let me just say, your early stuff is always going to be the worst stuff that you write, because each book you will get better. Mm-hmm. But it's also, there's stuff in there that I see that other people can't, because I know the headspace that I was in when I wrote some of these books, and I am afraid of psychically channeling some of that into other people. And I really don't know what to do with my back catalog, because I look at what Courtney from the Courtney Project did with her Lyra Parrish books, and I have literally sat on the KDP page just looking at the unpublished button for hours. Is this what I'm going? Because I really admire her courage to just unpublish and reboot her career. That's amazing. And I feel like I'm in the reboot of mine, because after the unscheduled vacation. Nobody remembers me because that's how the industry works. You know, you take you take 5 years off. Everybody's found new books. Everybody's found new writers, and then moved on. I have no hard feelings, and I'm amazed when people. Some of my old readers did come back and were like, "Yeah, you're doing stuff again," and I'm just like, "You remember me?"
That's a good feeling.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know what to do with the old books because, like, Shine Like Thunder, I love. There's some stuff back there that I really love. It's just, I don't know what to do about it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's one of those things few people have been in that situation, and no one can make the decision for you. They can only provide you the information so you make the best informed decision for yourself.
Back catalogs are the most important thing that you can have as a writer. Like if you're thinking about doing writing as a career, start thinking about that around your maybe third or fourth book.
Ooh.
Because that once you have a new book come out, if it looks interesting, people will go back and check like the early books in that series and, you know, catch up on you. And then you start this cycle of people who are going to be onboarding into your catalog. And that's a really important thing to do. So I don't want to just erase my back catalog. I have 9 books out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to just erase it. But at the same time, it's just like, you know, I don't want to take the time to rewrite 9 books. I don't know what to do.
Though I have to admit, with Milwordy coming up, rewriting would help your numbers.
Oh, that would so help my numbers so much. This is true. This is very true.
I'm just saying, just throwing my 2 cents in. So
what I had decided to do, because the sci-fi stuff is in the same world as the sci-fi stuff I'm writing now. And so I've decided to just consider it to do what Star Wars did. It's Legends. It may have happened. You'll find out when we get back to those characters.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It may or may not have happened that way. Like some of the characters are confirmed because they get mentioned in some of the newer work. But yeah, I just, because especially like my first book was such a train wreck because I had such a bad editor. Watch out for bad editors, and don't think, well, I'm not an editor, I don't know better. No. This is number one advice when working with an editor. They don't know your story the way you do. Don't be arrogant and be like, well, I know everything, and so I'm just not going to listen to you. But at the same time, when they tell you something that you know in your heart is wrong, do not listen.
Yeah, don't. To me, I kind of take it, so I do Grammarly for mine, because me and the English language, we're not very familiar with each other. And
I know that feeling.
Yeah, there's been a few times. But Grammarly pops up, and so it definitely highlights my adverbs and such like that. But I don't just go, oh, adverb, delete. I read it in the sentence. I remember what it's like in that going on in this situation, and usually it's dialogue. It's not in the actual narrative. And I'm like, okay, does it still convey what I want it to convey without it? Or should I have it in there because this is the way my character talks? Well, and so that's story analysis.
It's also the developmental notes that you get from people. Because granted, now remember, this was in 2005. So this was quite literally several stages of world development ago. But they made me cut out all of the queer characters from the book because nobody's
2005. You did preface
2005.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2005, and nobody's going to buy a action story with a queer main character. And I just went, oh, okay. And back then, it kind of made sense, and so I took that advice. And they also didn't like the main plot revolving around reincarnation. So, granted, the first draft has been completely eradicated from history because I did go back and fix the story because it basically the book did not make sense for the first 5 years it was out because they basically said your plot's interesting, but basically leave the action stuff in, but take out all the stuff that makes the action scenes make sense.
Hey, time out 2 seconds. My headphones are really staticky. Can anyone in the chat just say if audio has changed since I changed headphones? Okay, so you changed the plot, the action scenes.
Yeah, and so, I eventually kind of edited it back in. I did a second edition when I got the rights back from that company. And did a second edition and put some of that back in, but just don't, if you know in your heart of hearts that the developmental notes that you're getting are wrong and are not good for your story, don't listen. Don't listen.
Yeah.
Don't be arrogant about it, because sometimes it's hard to get to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes they are wrong.
I think take the input they have and do self-reflection to see if it's applicable or not. And if you can be objective enough.
Because it was my first book going to publication, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and they know what they are doing, and they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know at all. And luckily, my second editor... Let's be honest. My second editor that I had when I did the Fates horror stories was great. And John Hart, really, I think that's the first time I've ever said his name out loud. I don't know if he's still editing or not. He was really good, and he helped work me through stuff. He taught me a lot about how to edit and how to catch things and why certain things are done certain ways. And you want to do it this way because then it's universal English, because American English does it this way. But if you do it this other way, it'll be readable to anybody who's reading in England or South Africa or Australia or New Zealand as well, easily. And taught me a lot of stuff like that. So there are some great editors. There's some great editors. I worry
about that because in my story, there's English, but I had someone from Ireland just critique the first 8 chapters for me, edit them and stuff. And there was a few things, like I make a comment describing the therapist, and I was like, hell, she could be on the senior line of the Rockettes if it exists. And she comments back, she's like, I don't know what the Rockettes are. And I'm like, oh, okay. I got to keep this in mind for
some of that, but some of that's okay if it's enculturated into the story. Like if the character is from New York or really into Broadway and stuff like that, they probably would mention the Rockettes, even if that's not universally understandable. But like, start trying to find words that you should not say because they have different meanings in various forms of English. Like the biggest one that got me, and I apologize if somebody says some rude stuff in the comments because it's such an innocuous word. When I started podcasting, I said, I said, we're going to, if you're not careful, we're going to beat your fanny. Because that's cute Southern way of saying, smack you in the butt.
Yeah.
That's not what that means in some other countries.
Oh.
Like, it has a much more adult meaning in some other countries.
Oh.
And I thought people were...
Like intimate?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And I use that one because for most speakers, like, they're used to Americans using that word differently. But that means a different part of the anatomy that females have in most other English-speaking countries and a lot of other English-speaking countries.
Today I learned.
Yeah. And so it's learning little things like that will help the universality of your fiction.
And it's also helpful because to me, I think you can, I took a class in college years ago and it was talking about the evolution of the English language. And it was so interesting. Or listen, that's not what it means here. But it's so interesting to hear how our language has evolved. And then like the language, like you just brought up of fanny is a bottom, behind.
It's cute.
But...
It's like saying tush. Yeah. It's like
tush.
Yeah, it's what you say to kids because it's one of those cutesy kids words here. That's not true around the world.
There's so many things. Well, and then like I know I had when I was like 16 and stuff, I had friends in England, and he's like, "Oh, I got pissed last night." I'm like, "Oh, what made you so mad?" And he's like, "No, pissed is drunk in England, honey." And I'm like, "Oh."
And single quotes. Don't use single quotes. A lot of American English uses single quotes to mean thoughts or thinking. In a lot of stuff, that's not going to be translatable internationally as well. Use italics.
Okay. And so I actually had, question on that. I got a first person story. So technically everything outside of dialogue is internal thoughts and notice. Okay. Personal theory on this. This is not like Charlie getting on the mountain. Like I have not spoken to God about this recently and I don't know for 100%. All right. All right.
But personally, first person to me is not the internal internal monologue. It's someone telling the story. If they are giving you an internal monologue that happened in situ, in the moment that the story's taken place, that's thought. There's a distinction between the narrator voice, because unless you're writing in first person present tense,
which I am.
Okay, so if you're writing in first person present tense, you need to make a distinction between active and passive thought then. Because most of your story is actually passive thought of them walking through the world and seeing this, that, and the other thing, and having like brief notions. But if they're having an internal dialogue with themselves, that would, to me, be marked off as thinking.
Like a scene that comes up. So the main character is talking about how she mentally broke down when she was in second grade because all the other kids around her were finished with their workbooks and she still had like 10 pages left, and she felt like a failure, like the other kids were smarter than her, and she just starts crying over her pages in second grade. Yeah. Oh yeah, I tug at the heartstrings. I hit it where it hurts. And the therapist, explains, like, kind of gives her a pep talk, and the MC's internal thought was, where was she when I was 8? Like, that's one of her internal thoughts immediately after she gets the pep talk. And so it's interesting. I don't know.
If you want to get more into this, there's a book by her name just shot out of my head, Rain Hall, called Writing Deep Point of View, that for me helped me out a lot. It's got a lot of good exercises in there to help you understand the differences in point of view. It really helped me out a lot. If you have a Kindle Unlimited account, it's on Kindle Unlimited. All of her writing books
because it costs extra over Prime, and we've already talked about this. I'm cheap. Frugal. Excuse me. Cheap sounds bad. Frugal. I have expensive taste.
That book has helped me out a lot into getting into the differences between internal monologue and point of view.
Okay, I need that one.
Yeah, I like a lot of.
I'm gonna write this down because otherwise I'm gonna forget it. So. Again, so the back of the class / me can hear.
It's by Rain Hall, and it's called Writing Deep Point of View or Writing Deep POV. I can't remember if she abbreviates on the title or not, but it's either point of view or POV. And it's a short book. It goes through and gives you a lot of different examples. And the whole point of it is no matter whether you're writing in first or third person, and she does have some interesting advice for second, but I'm not brave enough to do second person in the story.
I'm not R.L. Stein doing a choose your own destiny
or N.K. Jemisin, man, she goes into second person in the Broken Earth books, and it like you're just like yes, and then I did that, and then like she is such a master of it that you're just roll with it because she's a better writer than I'll ever be.
There's a story that like Kate and Jessica Williamson were reading the 5th season.
That's it. That's the first book in the Broken Earth.
I want to read that after them talking about it. And yes, they did spoilers, but for me, you can't spoil anything for me because it's not going to be the same as the feeling I'm going to get when I read it firsthand. Yes, I may know what's happening, but you can't take the feeling from me.
And N.K. Jemisin is one of the best writers in the English language right now. I'm just
saying.
Just saying. Like, I try to read everything that she does and follow her. Like, I have Google alerts for when she gets interviewed so I can read them. And if you're doing fantasy, her world building stuff is really, really helpful.
I actually want to try that because everyone talks about the importance of developmental editing and world building and such. And okay, I kind of cheated because my first book all takes place in one place, but I still have to care about the timeline. In a sense, it's like, okay, the appointment's every 2 weeks, but here we switch the appointments every month and so on and so forth. But I really want to try world building, like an actual in-depth world building, something new, something different. But then I am also have this like fear of no creativity or that I'm going to duplicate something else.
First of all, every story has world building. It's not just the fantasy stuff. Anytime you're trying to convince people that the place that you're writing is real, you're doing world building. Second of all, and I'm going to do a shameless plug for me and another writer.
Go for it.
This is Stealing Fire from the Gods by James Bonnet. This is the best book I have ever read on world building, ever. And it's for anything that you want to do. We, on my podcast, Project Shadow, which you can find at projectshadow.com, did, at the beginning of lockdown, did what we called World Building 101 on there, where we went through this book and all of the things that are necessary for building a world. You can find links to the playlist. It's a Spotify playlist because nobody else will let me do podcast playlists with Spotify. But so it's of all the episodes for that. And we're currently doing the 201 deep dives. But this book is invaluable because he actually uses the example of the Trojan War for what world building looks like. And then all of the stories that you know about that took place in the Trojan War for what a novel is.
2 seconds. Baby's crying.
I hear.
Yeah.
So definitely, if any of you are interested in that, check that out. And Orla, I agree with you on the spoilers thing because my memory is like a sieve, which is why I use Story Planner for everything, because I will forget what color my characters' eyes are, their hair are. I forgot in the novella how many arms one of the characters had and had to look it up because I was like, I think you have more than average, but I'm not sure. And I had to look it back up. So if I can't remember the spoilers for my own work, spoilers for other people's stuff doesn't really bother me all that much. But see, Mindy said, I'm really getting into writing my timeline for a long series, my fanfic series. Timelines are a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the two things that I use to do my timelines with are not free. But if you're curious, I use Aeon Timeline on my computer, and that's for all the stuff that I want to keep private and close to the chest. So all of the things that would be spoilers that would upset people, if they found them out, stay on my desktop on Aeon Timeline. But I also use the timeline feature that they've added to World Anvil to do timelines up over there. Because what's really cool about that is you can take one event and actually assign it to multiple timelines. So while you're doing it, you can build timelines for an individual character, for a group of characters, and for the setting as a whole. And it has the events that you tell it to have in there. So those are what I use for my timelines. If you're willing to spend money on them, because they're not free. But
my language anymore. I want free. Wait, what was the once? I think it went on Lara Needle channel. Miro.
Yeah, Miro is what a lot of people are using for their free stuff. I personally. If you can check out Wavemaker, I think it's wavemaker.co.uk. It's a free app. It's got a lot of really, really nice features to it, and it's good for different kinds of timelines. One of my favorite timeline techniques I actually learned from She Who Shall Not Be Named, and because it's how she outlined the Harry Potter books. Mm-hmm. And they actually have that story grid as one of the options in Wavemaker. And Wavemaker connects to your Google Drive account, so everything is backed up, and it's free. So,
so the first book I just wrote, but it's an idea that I've had for like 5 years, so it was just like spilling out. And I did plan like 5 chapters ahead of like something's going to happen here, and I had a main idea, and technically it's kind of slow to start. Because like one of the big emotional things doesn't happen until chapter 6, and my chapter's like 3,000 words a piece. But I think for these next book 2, I'm actually going to I've already started outlining timeline wise, but I think I'm actually going to like look at Save the Cat at least or something.
Not to continue doing shameless plugs for my own stuff, but
I
don't know if you
know your stuff. It's not a shameless plug. It's share your knowledge.
I don't know if you watched the video that I have on my channel for being a gamer writer.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's the one of the first videos that I did on there, so the quality is, but I did innovative things for the first time. Like I did screen sharing of my computer and showed my files and how I actually organize stuff. I am not a big fan of this. Are you a plotter or a pantser thing? If you can't tell, I'm kind of against binaries in most forms. And I think this is a bad one. Being a gamer writer is about knowing where you're going and allowing the words to come alive on the page. And I can't take credit for this. I keep forgetting his name, but I actually linked the article on the video. I got this from an article over on Pro Writing Aid's blog. And the idea is that you kind of set up what you're doing where you have plot points and stuff that you know are going to happen. You know the rules of the world that you're playing in, but you play it out to see how you get there. You don't micromanage the outline.
Hey, I'm pulling up the video. Is it how to play a game and write more, or how to get off the spectrum? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share that in the live chat. Oh, cool.
But I really enjoy this method, and I've gotten so much done since I started doing this. And I like took it to the extreme because I'm an old school gamer, so I keep a thing of dice next to me, and when I need a number, I can just roll it up real quick and have the number, because I have one of pretty much every kind of die in here. And I do it to, I really do it. My writing is pretty much a one-person role-playing game where I know all of the characters. I know what the rules of the setting are. That's what the world building is what is possible, what is not possible in this setting. And I know the major plot points, like where are we heading? What's going on? What's happening? And
like
then everything
your guiding
else.
Star.
Yeah. And then everything else is letting the characters get there.
That's the same way at least with the first one. I don't know. I have a feeling my way is going to evolve.
And this is also why I recommend Save the Cat, because you'll notice that I talk in that video a lot about Save the Cat.
Yeah.
If you are not an outliner, Save the Cat is the greatest thing ever, because you get an idea of how long the story is that you want to tell, and you know where your beats should happen. So even if you don't know what the beat is, you know, oh, I'm coming up on the fun and games section here. This needs to be this kind of story. And you can kind of use it to guide you in what you're doing so that you can move yourself forward and not meander. Because when you meandering is a big problem.
Yeah.
When you're not outlining. But
I know my worry right now is that I feel like I have just a whole bunch of subplots. I mean, yes, I have my big idea that lasts like maybe it spans over 4 or 5 chapters, but then I have all these subplots, and not like too many. It's just the way it is. Like there's an issue with the main character's son that is giving her anxiety as well. There's a miscarriage. There's a new job perspective. And so that I have these subplots, and then there's the main thing that turns out to be the root of her anxiety attacks, and such. And then there's a plot twist at the end, because why not?
I accidentally stumbled onto doing Kisho Tenketsu writing and didn't know what that was until somebody was like, hey, this brilliant idea that you had, it's actually this thing that they've been doing in Japan for the last 500 years. And I went, oh.
Just when I thought I was original. No, someone else thought of it first.
Oh, yeah. Nothing we do is ever original. But it was great because I finally had resources to look at and go, oh, so that's why I was having trouble here. And I bring this up because if you're doing a lot of subplots, I think Kisho Tenketsu can help with that. So the way that works, hey, Stephanie.
Hi, dear.
The way that works is you have your 4 stages. You have your introduction, development, the twist, and the resolution, the everything getting brought back together. And the way you think about your story is as a series of nesting dolls. So that pattern,
I love that description.
Yeah. So that pattern should be the entire book, each part of the book, each chapter of the book. And if you're doing a manga, every page is supposed to have that pattern on it. And if you really think about it, you think there's almost always 4 panels or 4 things going on every page in a manga. And you can see there's where they introduce it, they develop it, the twist happens, and then it gets reconciled back into the story.
That makes me think of, I read Webtoon, the app, and there's a lot of Webtoon comics that I read, and I actually need to catch up. I'm kind of falling behind. But every episode is like a few panels, but even there's some where they only do 4 panels for the episode, and you gotta wait like another week or more. But it has that, like you were talking about, of tying together.
So when you're thinking about subplots, seeing them as part of that nesting doll, like, are these part of the twist where they realize that the world isn't the way that they thought it was? Because that's what twist means in this model of writing. It's not that, oh no, we've gone into Hitchcock land where everything is, suddenly changed or anything. It's that they were convinced that the world operated this way. And then something happens and nope, it's actually that way. And then part 4 is them realizing, well, actually, it's always been like that. I just didn't understand. And bringing the two, their former world and their new world, into some kind of harmony. And when you start looking at your subplots as playing into that game, where they're either part of the twist, either bringing it back, showing them how the world actually isn't the way they thought it was, or it's part of that resolution, and you start nesting them in, it can help makes them feel more natural in the story. It's why I brought it up. I thought it might be
what, Charlie, I'm like really tempted to have you read my story, even though it's not fantasy and sci-fi. I just want to see your take. Even if you go, honey, you need to dump this and start all over. I just want to see, like, because I mean, the critique partners I have, I don't know their writing history technically, because they're the online setting, kind of similar to Wattpad and stuff. But yeah, I'm just the people that I actually trust. I'm interested to see.
Like I tell people, if you ever want me to read your stuff, just remember I keep myself insanely busy, so it will get in the hopper. And if there's a deadline, I need to know that ahead of time, and I will let people know if I can make the deadline. But I can always throw stuff into the hopper, and when I have time to read, I'll read.
My original deadline with this story idea when I started back in May was I want to be published in 12 years. Then I wrote it within 4.5 weeks. So I edit and such. Actually did my editing for Camp NaNoWriMo for July, whatever, June, things, places, whatever.
I can't remember. Are you trying for a traditional publication?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, my video on Tuesday is all about how I made that decision. So you get to see me argue with myself, literally, argue with myself. That was fun. Of how I came about that idea.
It's a very difficult decision. My choice to be indie is very clear in that I want ultimate control over what happens with my stuff. I don't want to, as I've explained on this stream alone.
Yes.
I've had very bad experiences giving up control of my work, even when I had the great editor.
Yeah.
The covers for those books made me want to stab somebody in the eye because they were terrible. And I just,
I'm hoping I have good, so my job deals with negotiating contracts, and I'm hoping that even though I'll have hopefully a literary agent, I'll have a little bit of say-so when it comes to my contract, which I will because I got to sign it. But as I read through it, be like, clause whatever is not
I don't know if it's still in print or not, or if he's done a revised edition of it. But J. Michael Straczynski had a really good book out on publishing contracts, and I think it was just called Copyright for Writers, I think, or something like that. But what was interesting about it is he has experience in every medium. So he talks about, here's the stuff that I had to do with the publishers for the writing, for the comics, for the radio dramas, for the stage plays, for movies, for television. Like, he breaks it down, like how he's had to negotiate things over his career. and gives sample contracts and stuff. And like, if you see this in your contract, this is what it actually means.
That I think
because it doesn't look.
Even though I'm familiar with contracts and verbiage and such like that, and yes, hello Lizzie, doctor, and she just commented on one of my wrong thing. Dear Lord, she just commented on one of my videos because she's joining Milwordy. So, so she's using my Excel spreadsheet.
Let me get my deer in headlights on. Welcome.
Join us.
Join us. It's going to be fun.
But the oh shoot, where were we going on this? I get sidetracked.
We were talking about contracts.
Yeah, even though I'm familiar with contracts and the lingo and stuff, I'm not familiar with the lingo of publishing and writing, trying to get a book traditionally published. So I need to brush up on that lingo. And like
that's
you said,
what
J. Michael, what was his last name?
Straczynski. Just look up Babylon 5.
Okay,
and
thank
he
you.
created
Because I was
Babylon
like,
5.
you want me to spell what name?
I'm terrible at spelling his name, and I will tell you all kinds of wrong. I'll look it up if you want real quick. But it's great because not only is he just like giving you advice, but he's worked in all of those fields. Like he's got published stage plays, and he's done radio dramas and TV shows, and so he's talking from the point of view of a writer, because a lot of those books are either written by lawyers who, bless their hearts for trying to help us, often don't realize how seriously though, they don't realize how little most people understand about the law and how contracts work. And so they skip over stuff that we need to know because to them like, it's just natural.
For them it's second nature as breathing. But you found it?
STRACZYNSKI.
So out of all those, I got 3 letters correct in my original shoving it on the paper.
But he's one of my favorite writers. I've liked his stuff forever. He did Babylon 5. He did Jeremiah. If you remember Jeremiah, he was the original writer for She-Ra. Like if you ever watched any of the old She-Ra shows, that's where he got his start. Was on the old She-Ra animation shows. Like he's the reason She-Ra has a plot and He-Man doesn't, because he fought for She-Ra to have a plot.
Oh my god! Have you been on Netflix and watched the Toys That Made Us? They have an entire episode on He-Man. I love documentaries. Like I like memoirs. I like documentaries. I like history and stuff, which is funny. You want to come here?
Yeah, I have to be very careful not to go off onto tangents on stuff like that, because I'm like, well, actually, back in the original days when that's my default mode, and I have to really control myself with that. But
I know.
Yeah, it's helpful to see it from a writer's point of view. And like I said, the nice thing is it has sample contracts in there. So it's like, if you're planning on doing, I love that. So like, if you're planning on recording your own audio podcast and you're getting voice talent for it, here's a sample contract so that you're making sure that you're protecting your rights and can use their voice in various mediums. And it explains the contract and how it works and whatnot. And like, it's a thick book, but that's because it's like all kinds of writing. So you only have to go to the section on the type of writing you're doing.
Pick which section you need that's applicable, and so that makes sense.
So if you're doing screenwriting,
encyclopedia of contracts,
basically, because he's worked in every industry ever.
We got the boy.
Hello.
Oh, he wanted to wear makeup because I put on makeup, and so I gave him blush. Mostly because I had most of the other stuff, but it was so cute. He was like, because he's 2.5, but he can't speak, so we communicate through sign. And by can't, I mean he just hasn't said words yet. He's trying, but either way.
Did you actually learn ASL?
I know a little bit, just enough to communicate basically. But I wanted to learn ASL, not like the baby sign modified version. So
okay. I just looked it up. The book is still in print. It's called The Complete Book of Script Writing.
Book of Script Writing. Okay.
the all-in-one guide to writing and selling screenplays, teleplays, theatrical plays, radio scripts, and animation scripts. And it's got a lot of really good, like, this phrase really means this other thing.
So this seems like it's nice, but it's not.
Yeah. This looks like it's helpful for you and exactly what you want, but don't believe it, because legally, this decision means this word means the exact opposite of what you think it does.
Such a fear of mine of, like, to make a decision now that seems like a good deal, but it's actually hindering a decision in the future. And I just...
See, that's kind of my nightmare that I live in, because one of my life goals is to have one of my works turned into a TV show. Like, I want that so bad. And I know that I am completely unprepared for being a rational human being in any discussions. Like, should any of the, because everybody's so rabid for content right now, should any of the streaming services be like, we would like to option this book? I've already told the hubby, like, I'm just going to hand it over to you, and you're not going to let me talk to anyone, because I'll be like, that sounds good. That's awesome. Yes, do that.
That is the number one negotiating tactic, whether you're buying a car, whether you're doing it. You have to realize one of the options on the table is to walk away. And you might have to use that.
And I want it so bad.
Like so many people have said, like, getting a bad literary agent or getting a bad publishing house or bad editor, that is worse than not having one at all.
Exactly.
So you got to have that mindset,
and expect that anything can fall through. I mean,
you got the door closed.
One of my books got optioned to be a movie, and nothing ever came of it, because the movie company ended up doing like most movie companies do and falling apart. But you know, you have to be careful with getting too emotionally invested in things until they manifest also.
Like, for me, I move around a lot, and I'm hoping to move closer to family next, but I am not expecting that until the car is completely packed up and we arrive. Not driving down there, because the plans could still change, but we actually arrive closer to a house, closer to family.
We were moving back to the East Coast, and we're here now.
Okay, open it.
And I'm happy about that.
Yay.
Thrilled.
Well, I'm on the East Coast, so I'm thrilled. Helps with the same time zone.
Our goal is to eventually get back to the East Coast, even though both of us want to go back west, but family and stuff.
Okay, I know. One of my dogs threw up, so I got to clean that up when we get off. She's okay. Like, it's not, I call it throw up, but it's more of it's like she has acid reflux. Yeah. So it's just like blip, like, and it just falls out of her mouth. I'm sorry, we're getting too descriptive, but
well, we have 3 cats, and our dog will find like a ball of cat fur, as we lovingly call them, our tribbles that form around the house, because they'll all decide to get into one corner and scratch all their hair off.
He's closing the door, and he's got his fingers in the thing. And okay, he's learned the hard way a few times, so he has a lot of self-body awareness, but either way. Okay, so the dog finds the cat hairballs.
And then has a hairball, and dogs are not built for dealing with hairballs. And with 3 cats, you can't keep them all like 100% cleaned up, because as soon as you clean them up, you turn back around and you're like, how is there another tumbleweed in the middle of the living room? How?
It's like, if you are watching the stream again, or you were watching earlier, Stitch, the lighter color dog of mine, she doesn't look it, but she sheds like I don't know, like a Saint Bernard or something. Like, you would think she's a long-haired dog, but no, she's got the double layer fur. And there's a picture of me, like, I'm pregnant with the littlest one, combing her, and I have a pile of fur next to me about as big as her.
I'm trying to be very stealthy, because if she hears this, we're going to have guests in a minute. But yes, you always get as much hair as you can, but it's never enough. And I got to put that away before she turns around and sees that I have it in my hand. Because
I have to brush the dog outside. She doesn't really like to be brushed, but I'm like, I'm not dealing with your hair inside.
You would know. I would. If anybody was going to have the prissy animals, I have the prissy animals. Like, you get out the grooming tools, and they're just like, now.
Excuse me.
Hello. Is my hair fabulous yet? No. Make it work. Come on.
They start Tim gunning you.
Oh no, they
Make
start
it work.
Tyra Banksing me.
Oh.
Like, they're all like, you don't understand. I got a stint on America's Next Top Model, and you are not making it work. Okay, this is not what I'm here for.
This is not what I signed up for. Oh man.
Like, they are demanding. That's why I had to be very careful because I was like, oh, I needed to move that anyway. Like, she's looking the other way. Quickly move that away. Oh yes, sassy pets are the greatest things ever.
They're always sassy. All right. Well, I have both kids standing in front of me now. Yes, I know that's there. Now I got my oldest going, hey, the dog threw up. And I'm like, I know. But it was a pleasure, Charlie. I'm definitely going to have
so
in the future. Fun.
Yes.
Because I like our chats. And I learned something new. Like, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to always have a notebook near me where we're on. And I'm like, what was that book again? Uh-huh. And how do you spell that last name? Because I can't.
Yeah, because I've been doing this for a while, and I feel like if anything, I can hopefully get people to learn from my mistakes so that they do not repeat them.
Yes, I will gladly. That's the way I describe my growing up, because my sister, the middle one, who's 4 years older, she taught me what not to do. So really, when it came down to it, the worst thing that I ever did was get pregnant out of wedlock. And I'm still married. I married the guy, and it's like 10 years later, and we're still married. So it worked out. And I don't count that as a bad thing.
There's 11 years difference between me and my older siblings. And so I got away with nothing. Nothing. My parents knew all of the tricks, and none of them worked anymore. Congratulations, Mindy.
Yep, I just saw that where she got through with part 1 of her Origin series timeline, the timeline that you have been working on.
That is awesome.
I love it. I think that's the key in writing, is that you can't go, I have to finish the book. You have to go, let me finish the outline.
It's the little things.
Like,
it's the little things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Work to done. Whatever you're doing, work to done.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I will try not to sing anymore.
Please, I do. What were we talking about? One of the streams. Oh no, I was in a stream with like Sokka and Chase and a few others, and I was like, I'm a jukebox. I'm a walking jukebox. I got a story for any moment.
Okay, actually got me to do AuthorTube karaoke on her birthday stream.
I got off right before you went on, I guess, because I was like, I would stay up and stay awake for this, but I was so tired.
I'm still
and you said no.
And I'm still living in the like horror of like, oh crap, that's going to live forever.
I thought about doing it, but I was like, 1, I don't want my husband making fun of me, and 2, I was like, what? Like, the only song that I'm okay doing karaoke is the song that anybody can do, because the worse you sing it, the better it is, and that is, But You Say He's Just a Friend.
I love Bismarcky. Oh yes. No, I did Are You Afraid by Typo Negative, which is a pro self-mutilation song, because it was funny and in my head. And I thought appropriate for birthdays, you know? Like,
yeah, totally. Mindy said, part 1 of my Origin series timeline was a story within a story. That's why I gave it a part 1. It was awesome working on this timeline. When you were done with it and you feel happy about it, like it felt great to get everything done, not like work, you know you're headed in the right path.
See, that's what I felt like, Orla. I really felt like that, but
I would only sing if someone felt the need that the room needed to be cleared.
But like I mentioned to Doll, I was like, the only 2 songs that I have stuck in my head right now are from Typo Negative, and Doll went crazy, and she was like, I love that band, and we started talking about it. So I ended up doing part of Christian Woman and part of Are You Afraid, because I'm easily suggestible, apparently.
Peer pressure.
No, it was one of those moments I forgot that I was on camera.
There's a few times where I'm like recording a video, and it's going to be interesting with the live stream when I try to do this more. And I don't know how it's going to go. I think I'm going to be editing a lot. If I'm recording, I forget, and I'm like, oh, shoot, what? I don't know. It works. But okay. We gotta get off. I gotta clean up dog puke. Welcome to my life. I gotta change a diaper. and then
All the fun.
I'm gonna
All the fun.
relax or something. I might actually write some of my timeline. I also got to cook dinner, but it's only like 4:00 here now, so I still got like another hour and a half.
All the fun.
It'll be fun. Yeah. So, Charlie, thank you. You want to do your
Anytime.
outro?
If anybody doesn't know who I am Charlie Dorsett. I write under the name CE Dorsett. You can find my work pretty much anywhere. I do YouTube videos. I do podcasts. I just do stuff. I'm doing a lot of weird art. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of weird art that I've been posting to Instagram. A lot of it's in the story, not on the actual Instagram, because they're works in progress. But I've been doing a lot of weird art lately.
I wouldn't call it weird. It's different, not weird.
It's very me.
Yep.
You can find everything that I do at projectshadow.com.
There you go. And so those 9 stories that he doesn't want you to judge on, that she does not want you to judge on. I'm sorry, Charlie.
I'm okay with it. I misgendered myself for 40 years. How could I feel bad about anybody else doing it?
Yes, but I am working on it because I talk to people and I'm like, oh, what does your husband? And I'm like, oh no, what does your spouse do? Like, and I'm even though myself, like it would upset me. And actually, I've been called sir, but I don't get upset when I get called sir because my hair is usually pulled back and you can't tell. And especially if I don't wear makeup, then I get the, are you feeling okay, sweetie? I'm like, yes, I feel fine. I'm just not wearing makeup. But I appreciate your forgiveness. But at a certain point, you're gonna have to yell at me and kick me in the butt because I should have it at a certain point.
At some point, people will get there.
Yes, but yes, those 9 stories that Charlie would not like you to judge her on, they're available. And I get to open up Chip Bag because my son's like, feed me. There's your snack before dinner. No more. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to read some of those stories. And I got a list of stories that just from our conversations as well. Anyone who doesn't know me, you came for Charlie, so I'm just here by default. But I am Natalie Locke. I am on Instagram under Natalie Locke as well. Writer Locke is kind of my handle, just because it wasn't stolen, thank God, from anybody. So I've been able to use that across the board. And I'm still green or wet behind the ears or however you want to call it. But I'm just soaking up all the information I can, and the information on my channel is just like, hey, this happened to me. Maybe it'll work for you. So I definitely appreciate everyone's come on, and anyone who ends up watching again. I hope you got a good few laughs because we did.
Sorry, the cat just ran and jumped on a footstool and rode it across the room, jumped off of it, ran around real quick, and jumped on it the other way and slid back. This is going to become a thing. I can feel it.
Oh my God. You need to have like a little camera at all times because you can't, it's got to be recording all the time just for little moments like that. And that will be like your B-roll for anything.
Oh my God. That was too good. I'm sorry.
That was great. I was like, we had some laughs and you started laughing. I'm like, I wasn't that funny, sweetie. What is it?
So I'm watching the cat like hang 10 across the living room.
Sassy pets is the reason. That is the next thing. So it works. Thank you for everybody for coming. And yeah, I guess that's it. Oh, I probably need to close down my StreamYard on the computer so I can close it down on here. So awesome. Thanks for thanking me, thanking you, thanking to everyone in the chat. And I'll let you know when the next one comes up. So all right.
Stream on my channel on the 1st.
Yes. Stream on Charlie's channel as well, for sure. And then I'm sure Charlie is going to announce on his channel or every stream that he's on, as if you follow one stream, he'll announce the next one, since next week she will announce the next one. I'm getting there. Just slap me through the freak. Thank you. I'll even do it myself. Okay. But she will announce on the current stream, like she has now, when the next one is. So just domino the streams, and you'll be following just fine, because
I am addicted.
Charlie is wonderful and will make the conversation where I don't even have to work on it. So
I'm hiding the blushing cheeks.
It works. Hey, but the green light's supposed to offset the redness, so it's
Yeah,
supposed to
it's
just
supposed
look
to.
normal then. So it works. Bye, everybody. Enjoy.
I have the fun.